Hey Southwest Region, Amiee here. I just wanted to share something with you that really helped me out when I was a representative selling Cutco. You may know this already if you've seen a lot of these QRTs or have seen me at a conference, but I sold Cutco through college. I actually paid for school selling Cutco. I didn't get a lot of help from family because my family couldn't afford to help me, so I was really fortunate to find Vector and Cutco when I was a sophomore in college because for the next 3 years, I sold it half. I paid for school with it. I graduated debt-free. It's awesome. FSM is definitely the place to be. I love it. I think it's the best opportunity for students out there. And then, of course, even people that are non-students. But if you are a student and you need flexibility and you need good pay and you want something good for your resume, I don't think there's anything better. But what I'm talking about today, which I think really helped my sales ratio, because I didn't have very many no sales. I mean, of course, I did have some. Everybody does. I don't know anybody that has a 100% ratio. But you can definitely do things to lessen it. And I would get people so excited about Cutco and make them so comfortable about buying it that, most of the time people would purchase something, whether it be a piece, whether it be a set, but something. So I wanted to share with you the concept today of the consensus principle. And here's basically what that means. It means that in a lot of cases, as people, not just Cutco related, but people in general, if we're sort of on the fence about something, a lot of times we will find out what other people are doing and then maybe lean that direction just because it makes us feel a little bit more comfortable doing that, knowing that other people think it's okay to do it too. And I think about that, and I do that sometimes because there are times where I'm going to an event and maybe I'm trying to decide what I want to wear and I just can't even decide like what I should be wearing when you're thinking about things like casual, or what Drew said the other day to me the first time I ever heard it, classy casual. I was like, what? So, professional casual, professional formal, whatever. So if I'm not sure, sometimes I'll call other people going to that event and just be like, hey, what are you wearing to that event, by the way? And that helps me decide. So I know that people use that principle, the consensus principle. Here's how it applies to Cutco. As you know, when you set the appointment, many times they're telling you they're not going to buy anything. And in fact, you're telling them that. That's how you get the appointment. You don't have to buy anything. I get credit either way. So when you get there, usually they're thinking I'm not going to buy anything, and that's okay. So when you start showing them how cool everything is, as you know, you start getting through it and you're going through names and uses and the features and benefits, and you go through the guarantee, and then they're starting to get really excited about it. So you've taken this person from like, I'm not going to buy anything, to like, wow, I'm actually considering spending $1,000 or more depending on where you start. And they're sitting there, 30, 35 minutes later. That's a huge shift from nothing to maybe $1,000 if they're looking at the homemaker or whatever the case may be. So it totally makes sense that they might be sitting there thinking to themselves, am I crazy? Like, am I really considering buying this stuff? Like, it's really cool, but, 30 minutes ago I wasn't going to buy anything, and now I'm considering this $1,000 set or whatever. So it totally makes sense to just give them other reasons why it's okay, like to let them know that that's normal to feel that way, so they don't think that they're crazy people looking at buying knives they're really excited about, but maybe they shouldn't or should not, they're on the fence. So there's some things you can do to share that with them, the consensus that most people do buy Cutco. The fact is, our sales ratio is that most people buy Cutco. We have more sales than no sales. So that's totally true. So here's a few things I do. One thing, if you saw the QRT from Luke Mills, he talked about how his goals thermometer, how when he has the goals thermometer in the beginning of his book, and when someone buys something, they actually sign it. And so that right there, as soon as he opens his book and starts talking about his goals, other people are seeing, like those people are seeing that other people are buying too. That's just one small thing you can do to show people that other people are buying Cutco. That is okay if they want to as well. And then also, for me, I always had a happy customer list. It was right after my guarantee. So I would cover features and benefits and junk knives and all that stuff. And then I would cover the guarantee. And then I would say something like, oh yeah, I keep track of everybody that buys something because it's fun. I love keeping track of everybody. And then I had a sheet that looked kind of like this. Mine was much more colorful. This I just put together in the last 30 seconds so you could see it. But it would just have happy customer list. It would have like balloons and happy faces and hearts or whatever, which you don't have to decorate it that way. It can be whatever way you want it to be. I just wanted it to look happy, and it would be colorful. It wouldn't all be in black like this one. And then I would just keep track. So every time somebody bought something, their name would go here, and then their city. So like whether it's an area of a city or whatever, you put that there. And I would flip it open to that page, and I would be like, oh yeah, here's my happy customer list. It's fun to keep track of everybody. And I would start flipping through, because when you're here long enough, it was like you'd have a full page, and then I would turn that page, and there would be a testimonial on the back of that, which would be a letter written by a customer of how they liked their Cutco. So when I see owners, I'm just like, cool, what do you think about it? And they're like, oh, I love it, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, awesome, could you write that down? Like, that's all I do. Could you just say, Dear Amiee, and write whatever you want to write about Cutco? And I collected all these letters, so it'd be happy customer list, turn the page, testimonial. happy customer list, turn the page, testimonial. And I had pages, like there were times where I got to the point where I was flipping like pages and pages. I didn't read all the testimonials. That would take a while. I would just be like, oh yeah, I get letters from people that own it in case you want anybody else's opinion on it. You know, and sometimes I'd point out a couple cool things, like she had it for 30 years, and she said they're the best gifts ever, and she, you know, whatever. So point out a couple things. But I'm like turning pages, and I actually had some customers that would be like, all of those people bought something? And I'd be like, yeah, Cutco's awesome. People love it, right? So you're just, and this, again, it's just showing them that more people do it. You can also use name dropping, and that's just where you're dropping names of people that have purchased from you, especially if it's the referral of someone you've seen. So like if I saw Tim and he referred me to Joe, and I'm seeing Joe, then I'm going to be like, and you do it nonchalantly. You don't go like, Joe, Tim loved this stuff. You should get it. You just go, oh yeah, Tim really liked that honey knife too, and I showed it to him. It's one of the things that he got. You know, or like they're talking about, when you're like, which color do you think you'd prefer? Pearl Classic, and you're like, oh yeah, your friend Susan, she got the pearl because you know her kitchen's all white or whatever. And you just drop those little name dropping hints again that other people are doing it. And then, and of course, get the testimonials. That's important. And then also with just the way you answer stuff. So like, when people ask me questions, instead of just answering them, I usually will start the answer with something like, many of our customers this, or a lot of our customers that. So that when I'm answering stuff, they're still constantly hearing that most people are buying Cutco. And so you can do that. So like, for example, if you're talking about payment options, you know, and they're asking what their options are or whatever, then that's where instead of just being like, oh yeah, we have payment options, instead you say, oh yeah, many of our customers like to use the payment options because they're interest free. It makes it a little bit more affordable on their monthly budget, you know, and they still get it all right away. They don't even have to wait till it's paid off. They love that. And you're always just saying they and our customers and many this and a lot of them that. So even when it's like, you're showing the homemaker and they're like, I like the homemaker. I'm not sure though, I'd use that carving set a lot, so maybe I don't need the whole homemaker. And that's where it's really easy again to be like, if you've never heard of this, the feel, felt, found, it totally relates back to this. And that's where you're like, oh yeah, I totally understand the way you feel, right? In fact, many of our customers have felt the same way in the past when they liked the whole rest of the set, but just weren't sure they'd use that carving set a lot because maybe once or twice a year, right? But what they found, right, feel, felt, found, what they found is, actually, the way we price the set, you're practically getting that carving set for free anyway, because the set's like $100 in savings just because it's already prepackaged. So it's almost like a free addition. So even if they only use it a couple times a year, over 30 years, you know, it's still worth having it. So it was worth getting the set today so that you can still get the free stuff with it, and it's an awesome deal and all that stuff. So feel, felt, found. But you can use that anytime. You can be like, yeah, many of our customers have felt that same way. But here's what they found. Or, you know, but always using that, many of our customers, a lot of our customers, most of our customers. Make sure it's true. I don't say most unless it is actually most. But I can still say many and a lot because that's totally true. And again, for me, my sales ratio was that most people bought. So it's really easy for me to be like, yeah, most people I see buy Cutco because they love it. It's so much fun. So, but use that consensus principle. I think it really helps. In fact, I'll give you one example too, which is so funny, is I had a couple buy a homemaker set from me once, and then I showed up to another appointment that was the referral. It was brothers. So I sold it to this couple, and then this referral was his brother and his wife, right? And I get there, and I had the appointment set with both, of course, but I got there, and the wife was sick, so she was like in bed or whatever. So it was just the husband. I don't usually just see husbands because they don't usually, not always, but sometimes they're not the ones that do most of the cooking, right? I like to have them together, not just the husband. Most husbands I've ever seen always will be like, you know, hey, I need to talk to my wife or whatever. So I get there and I'm like, maybe we should just reschedule for when she's feeling better or whatever. And he's like, no, I'll just do it. And I'm like, okay. So seriously, the whole demo, I think the whole time, all I did was like, oh yeah, your brother got this set because of that. And your brother put it on that payment option. And your brother got that color. And your brother got that stuff for free because that's what they really liked. And your brother said they do a lot of it. Like, it was like the whole time, I must have said your brother bought this or liked that or whatever, like, at least 15 times in that appointment. And we got to the end of the appointment, and I kid you not, it was the one time only that, like, he pulled out the checkbook and was, like, writing me a check. This is a while ago, by the way, before credit cards was popular. Before Rolo, if you can believe that. But anyway, so he's writing this check, and I'm like, did you make a decision? Because we hadn't come to a decision yet. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll just get what my brother got. And it was the homemaker. But it was just so funny because it was all about consensus. He knew his brother got it. He trusted his brother's opinion. He saw that Cutco was cool. He felt comfortable getting it, knowing his brother had gotten it. It really makes a difference. So use those little statements. Keep an eye out for the next QRT. Go to the next conference you have a chance to go to because you always learn great stuff there, like little tidbits like this. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good day.